If you love your royal history as I do, Kensington Palace simply is the place to come. I mean, I do enjoy St James's Palace and Clarence House and Buckingham Palace, but they all have a sort of era effect for me. This particular place is still so active and of course full of up-to-date royals, including the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. But it was Queen Victoria really that put her stamp on this particular palace, simply because she saved it from almost being knocked down. It was that close, and she intervened and basically said, look, you know, this was my childhood home, let's keep it renovated, of which they spent 2 years putting together. And then of course, for the very first time, they opened it to the public, or should I say the public rooms. So after, of course, the rooms were opened in 1897 on the instruction of Queen Victoria, it really did open up the monarchy. She was a groundbreaking monarch, simply because she knew exactly what the public wanted. A lot of people sort of see her as remote, of course, because she went into virtual isolation after the death of Prince Albert, but she was still very active in other ways, in keeping her brand, as they call it today, out there. When you think of how many things that are named after Victoria and Albert, Museum, Royal Albert Hall, Victoria Station, everywhere across England there's some kind of statue to the wonderful Queen Victoria. Now this particular statue, which is literally outside Kensington Palace on your screen right now, is of course the Portland stone marble. And what I like about this particular statue is simply this: it was designed by her own daughter, but I think this is the sort of statue that the late great Princess Diana should have been afforded, rather than the dark, sombre recent statue that we saw unveiled by William and Harry. Let me know in the comments if you agree. But I didn't know this until, of course, taking part in the tours. Now, very closely during the Second World War, sadly, something happened to Queen Victoria's nose on this statue. A little bit of it fell off, just a tiny little bit though. But on the instruction of Her Majesty the Queen, or of course Princess Elizabeth as she was then in 1952, it was quietly and rather superbly repaired for all to still enjoy today. It's one of the most photographed statues of monarchy in the world, simply because she sits upon her throne, regal and of course forever young. Now the other things that Queen Victoria did for the empire are too numerous to mention, but of course they live on today. And what I like about Queen Victoria's reign is simply she came through so many eras of change, modernisation, and literally went with them. And right here in the park, you can actually hear Queen Victoria's voice for the very first time, albeit very briefly. You have to remember, this was just the era that she was about to leave, when the phonograph, the recording record, was just coming into fruition. Neil Sean, Kensington Palace, London.